What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Tuesday, February 13th, one day shy of Valentine's Day. I'm excited to be here, fresh off of the seventh to last Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania this year. We've got a lot to talk about. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, a lot of Cody Rhodes, and then all the other matches too. I've always got a sweet crew on Tuesdays. Let me introduce them first. Let's send this one all the way out to the DMV, working double duty today. The Tuesday night delight. Get those twos up. Shad, how are you, man?
Good people at Wrestling Republic, all the fans out there, was good. I hope you watched today. I hope you watched tonight. Y'all not gonna see me for a week. I got some, grown man stuff I gotta handle this week. Your boy
Yes,
will be
sir.
married this upcoming weekend. I'll be legally married tomorrow. It's exciting in the times of Shad. If you got any advice, put them in the comments. But I'm blessed to be here, man. I'm excited to talk about Raw, fun episode, and yeah, man, let's get into it.
Absolutely. I'm excited about it. And congratulations, of course, Shad. We're stoked for you, but we've also got all the way over in Scotland, across the Atlantic, just a short jump shot over the ocean. The host of the Soul Sessions, Soul himself, is in the building. How are you doing on this fine Tuesday, friend?
Nature is healing, lads. Nature is healing because yesterday I watched the best program ever. Oh, it brings tears to my eyes because Jon Stewart is back on the Daily Show. Oh my God, nature's healing. I love it.
I
America, you
actually
want
watched that before we got here.
America's healing, boys. Oh my God. Yeah, we're talking about something called Monday Night Raw, Pish, whatever that is. But Jon Stewart's back. Come on, everyone, get in the hashtags now. Jon Stewart is back. Watch the Daily Show. Oh,
The real
nature's
question is, when will we see Cena? Cena and Jon Stewart. That's the interaction we all need.
bring him
He
back.
owes him
Make
one.
him cost. Make him cost Cody the title. Make
Oh
Jon
my
Stewart
goodness.
cost Cody the title.
Talk about long-term storytelling there, Soul. There's no doubt about it. But seriously, let's get into today's program because speaking of programs, this is a wild one. We had Seth Rollins in the press conference Thursday night of last week, involved in the green suit. Speaking of green suits, ironically, similarly green suit to Cody's green suit on SmackDown the week before. I don't know if I'm the only one that noticed that or not. That's neither here nor there. But we had Rollins and we had Cody in the ring last night. And I thought this was an excellent opportunity for Seth Rollins to maybe explain his involvement. And I also think it wasn't the right time to dance. It wasn't. That entrance, when he danced out, Roman Reigns has made a joke of that world title. And I don't think it should be because Seth has carried it and defended it valiantly. But he's made a joke out of it. And Seth came out still laughing, still goofy, still doing all of that. I'm not really sure what to think of this and his entire involvement in the storyline. I'm confused by. Where are we going to use Seth Rollins in this? Because he's clearly going to be a factor. Or are we just taking up time on Monday Night Raw for this? I thought Cody actually did an excellent job. Of all people, you might expect me to criticize Cody last night. I thought Cody did a great job of holding up his end. He paused at the right times. The crowd was chanting Cody's name. I'm not sure here, though. Where does Rollins play into this storyline? I'm gonna toss it to you first, Soul. What are your thoughts on Rollins and his role in the entire main event scene?
It is very interesting to say the least, because if you think about it, until this current character we have for Seth, they've all been very identifiable. You know, we had the Architect, Shield, Beast Hunter, Beast Slayer, then the Monday Night Messiah. And then this visionary character seems like an offshoot of the Monday Night Messiah, but then it's kind of made its own version of itself, this sort of thing. I don't mind Seth holding the title. I think Seth Rollins is an amazing wrestler in himself, but I kind of do get Clark's claim of the jokiness, right? He's trying to be like the loose cannon sort of thing. Like he talks all this bravo and nonchalant, classy sort of way, but then when he goes into the ring, he really delivers it. if anything, I just really want it to be on Drew, not only because I'm Scottish, my boy. Thank you very much. I love the man.
Yes.
Just think with Drew's presence right now, it's something that world title will need. Like, he's got the ferocity, he's got the Twitter game, which you need in this day and age. And all in all, he's just an amazing wrestler in himself. So I really want to see that title get elevated, because not only is it a beautiful title, but ever since Roman kind of buried it, Cody said, I was not going to challenge you, Roman. Then kind of went for this workhorse title and then just nonchalantly chucked it to the back of the closet and went for the one that he wanted to go for in the first place. I mean, it's just confusing. And then, like Seth said in this promo, like, I will be your shield. You know, some idiots on the IWC are like, oh my God, Moxley's coming back to the WWE. He's going to cost Roman the title. And you can't, dude. Seriously, come on now. This probably means something like either A, at Elimination Chamber, it's going to be the tag match with Cody and Seth versus The Rock and Roman Reigns, or B, the way this Shield could be utilized is in the main event, Rock tries to cost Cody the title, and Seth intervenes, being the Shield, to block that interview.
Ooh.
So could that happen? Maybe, but it makes me think, would he be in a viable state if he has to defend his title on night one? Or is this secondary title going to be truly secondary because it's not going to be even defended on the first WrestleMania since its formation? If that happens, then this could go the way of the women tag belts, where they're cool looking belts. They are put on some all right talent, but it means nothing.
That's the hardest part about this equation is they've built this belt up, and I thought Seth did an amazing job just to sort of be torn down in the way you just explained it. And I agree with you. This is something that definitely needs to be defended at Mania. That is priority number one, I think, for sure, whether it is with Seth as the champion or not. That is another factor. We got a comment over here from Coach 23, which is Seth could be the one who acts goofy and funny, but he can go serious at the same time, similar to the DX, HBK, and Kurt Angle stuff. I totally get it. And then he added, business-wise, this Seth involvement is a big thank you. And appreciates Seth's contributions to WWE since it was rumored that it's his contract year. Those are rumors. We don't address those. No dirt sheets for
of course,
us.
but look, if anyone actually thinks Seth Rollins is going to leave the WWE, your head's in ice water, mate. No offense.
He's borderline definition of a company man for them.
Bingo.
I think the issue and the larger issue here is he's now been inserted into the main event storyline regarding the other title.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it was a miss. That's where it didn't make sense to me. Unless he's going to play a role, which I would be excited about. But to me, all I can see the build for would be a tag match. And this promo did not build for a tag match. Shad, I want to get your thoughts on both sides of the promo. And obviously, you know, it is hard to continue a story when the other side of the equation isn't there in Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
But this was so much more about that story than it was Seth's title. What do we do here?
So I actually do think that last night's promo made me believe that we're gonna lean towards to a tag match. And from the, I'm not gonna make assumptions, but if you watch that WrestleMania commercial that they have with all four of them facing off, it leads me to believe that it's more likely to happen on night one. And I think that's the direction we're gonna go. And I did like the promo with Seth Rollins last night. I may not like what will lead to it, but I like the passion within the promo. I liked a lot of the lines that he mentioned onto it. This is the Seth Rollins that I enjoy. I feel like we get caught up on the funny, ha ha ha, snarkling, laughing character. But that guy is really someone that brings a lot of passion and realism into professional wrestling. And he speaks it to a T, and he speaks it better than a lot of people in the wrestling industry at the moment. We saw it obviously with the whole CM Punk situation. Now much realism that was tied to that and how much of a fiery passion that he had. Even with the Roman Reigns, when they had the Rumble match, like, and Cody Rhodes too, like, Seth is really good at this, and I feel like he in a way is underappreciated and underrated to a lot of wrestling fans for that very reason, and it shows that they view him as a main stage player. Now, in regards to the storyline, I do agree it is confusing because he is a champion, and if you want to call him a top tier champion, you should hold him in the same high regards as you hold Roman Reigns. I thoroughly do agree with y'all that this title does seem secondary to what Roman's title is, and the focal point is Roman Reigns, but that's the reality of where we're at right now. The hot commodity in the WWE is this Roman Reigns storyline tied with The Rock. And if you are someone, and if you're Seth, truth be told, you may want to be in this storyline more than you would want to be in a title storyline with a Drew McIntyre or a Sami Zayn or a Damian Priest. Like, that's not what the viewers at Mania's eyes are going to be at. Their eyes are going to be 100% in a match that has Roman, that has Rock, and that has Cody in it. Um, this is a match that is more significant to a Mania for Seth than the title match would be for them. And it sucks because it does hold the title to a lower regard. And maybe he should have lost it at some point. So you could have just had this be the storyline without him with the title. But we know what WWE does. We've had Roman Reigns hold two titles for a few years when he maybe should have just had one during the whole time frame. They don't really care about that aspect to it too much. The title just makes the person look more of a dominant threat. And I think that's what it is going to be. I don't know if he'll defend his match at his title at Mania. We'll have to wait and see. But I think we are definitely going to the tag team match on night one at Mania.
I, I I am so hesitant on the tag match, and Coach 23 also added he thinks the tag match is going to happen at Chamber. He
That's what
said,
my initial prediction is, but I don't know, bro. Like, that's next week. Unless something happens so we have SmackDown on Friday. If
yeah,
something significant happens on Friday that leads to it to happen at the Elimination Chamber, then Coach 23, I will agree with you and I'll stick with my original prediction. But just seeing how the play is that we're really pushing for this match at Mania with these guys in this storyline. Like, that's literally the entire build and the commercial for all of it is having the Rock, Roman. And that's all that they tweeting about after that press conference. It makes me feel like they would probably have that at Mania, so that could be the Rock's match.
I think it's very possible. I think it's totally possible. And even over on Instagram, Umaga_wrestler added, who will The Rock face at WrestleMania? Man, that could be a number of things. We've talked about the tag match. Coach 23 added the tag could happen at night one, and Seth defends the title at night two. Personally, I just think that's such a massive risk. You have Rock, who's part time, the risk of injury to have to double perform for Rock or Roman or Cody, anyone involved in that match. What do we do
Are we
if
ignoring Seth's
anyone
knee
gets
injury?
hurt and can't perform? That is worst case scenario. That's a nightmare, right? Especially if you advertise the main event of night two with the same wrestlers in such a gigantic match night one. That to me is such a risk.
And Seth has
Um,
a hurt knee. I don't think he's
and
wrestling next week.
he's already operating on a hurt knee.
Yeah.
To your point,
So I don't think he's gonna be ready for a match. Like, Elimination Chamber is literally next Saturday.
I
I
know.
mean, if anything, guys, I think Cody Rhodes should get on the phone and bring in MJF to help tag against The Rock and Roman Reigns, and then he goes back to AEW. Then he goes back to AEW. Let me make that clear.
Oh.
He ain't going to NXT, Shad. He ain't going to NXT.
He'd be a good he'd be a good North American champion.
Sonny and
No
Sandy
way.
added,
There's
I think
no.
Seth loses the belt and Chamber. Or at Chamber is, I think, what he meant. I think on a cash in by Damian Priest. That I've said that. I think that a cash in at Elimination Chamber would make a lot of sense to me, and then he can be involved in that storyline with The Rock and everybody else. I still think it's just such a huge risk to have those 4 try to wrestle twice, or even if
Question.
it's 2 of the 4.
Question. Is the Elimination Chamber men's, is that for a Mania match? Is that what they listed it
I
as?
believe that's what they're
Oh,
saying.
okay. Well, then he will be wrestling that man. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
This tag
I'm
match might not happen then.
Who knows? Who knows if anything? Maybe they'll just get Usher to perform for like 30 minutes.
yeah,
Watch this.
at halftime.
Yeah, at halftime. 0 hour. He's going to do 0 hour
At
performance.
halftime. Okay, let's move on though to our next topic. Let's talk about the New Day and Jey Uso, the long lost bloodline member, against Imperium 6-man tag. I thought it was one of the most fun 6-man tags in a while on a Monday Night Raw. We're used to seeing 6-man tags over, or 6-person tags over on AEW all the time. We've seen them in WWE history for sure, but I thought this was really actually well executed, and a star-studded crew. Obviously, you wish Big E could be there as the third with the New Day, and that it's a completely different matchup. But Jay filled in delightfully. I thought the match was really, really fun. Jay hits the splash. The New Day go over. How did you feel about it, Shad? And who from the New Day, is it Woods or is it Kofi that is going to be Gunther's next opponent? Because that seems obviously what we're building to. And then maybe
Oh,
Jay in the long run.
oh no! Next week we have a big time match. It's main event Jey Uso versus the Ring General Gunther, bro. And this is what I've been, waiting to see. This is the feud that I've been hoping to see the next potential Intercontinental Champion as Mr. Main Event Jey Uso. Now, will that happen? We'll have to wait and see. Part of me feels like we might see a demon in his past, someone that's close to him that looks like his shadow but is not his shadow, might come and interrupt and cost him the match. Uh, we'll talk about when we talk about that, but we are going to get that match next week, and I'm super excited for it. I love what Jey Uso has become as a single superstar. I was there live on a Monday Night Raw, and I saw the aura and the star power. I see all the hand gesture movement. I think he's doing stellar work, and I think he is really a viable person that is a like main event, no pun intended, babyface that you can have on your roster. Like I still to this day think he should be the one that takes the title from Roman, but we'll have to wait and see if that ever will happen. It probably won't. In regards to the match, electric match, man, you got the best, pairings of tag teams in WWE. New Day historically one of the best. You know, they got a former enemy now turned a friend, and Jey Uso tied with a mutual rival, which is Imperium and Gunther. And I thought it was a fun match. I love Jay just not being afraid of Gunther in this match, slapping fire out his mouth, man. Like he's just showing that he ain't afraid of it, and it makes you believe that he can be the potential person to take that title off of him next week. It was a great match. In regards to your question, if Gunther does retain, I would like to see him versus Xavier Woods. I think Xavier Woods is someone that has main like singles star potential, and he's never got an opportunity to really let that shine. We let him be the king of the ring, but the king of the ring doesn't hold as much value as it used to be. I would like to see him again in a feud with Gunther possibly and be a threat. Like I still think there's meat on the bone with some good competition for Gunther on the Raw roster. And it doesn't have to be, lower mid card guys. It could be, fringe, high, upper mid card guys, lower main event guys. So like a Woods would be a cool match. But all in all, man, fire match. Salute to Vinci and Ludwig too, man. Them guys are
Yes.
stellar. But
So
yeah,
good.
Mm.
I totally agree, and that's my bad, by the way. I forgot on the rebooking on the match being Monday as opposed to a at Elimination Chamber, which I do think is interesting. To me, this lends more towards Jay Jimmy at Mania.
I think Jimmy is gonna cost him the match, and I think we're gonna build that for
Yeah,
it's Mania season's coming now, and we have the Elimination Chamber we have to get over. But I think we're gonna start seeing some potential matches be built in the next coming weeks, and I think that's gonna be one coming up. I think Jimmy is gonna cost him that match next week, and
absolutely.
is gonna start the build for the uh am I my brother's keeper match?
Absolutely. And Sonny and Sandy added that he agrees totally on the Jimmy Uso and setting up the match at WrestleMania. And then he added that this is a really nice comment. He added, "Man, I would love to talk to you guys. I eat, breathe pro wrestling all my life. We appreciate you so much for tuning in, man. Like,
Thank you,
it means the
boss.
world to us. Absolutely. That is awesome. Love talking pro wrestling ourselves without question." We've also got another one here from Charlie _ Esparza, which is John Cena or Breaker is the Gunther Mania match. I actually think either is possible. I don't think either one is out of the question.
I've been saying Cena for a minute, and a lot of it makes sense off the parallel that Cena wants the IC title. That's one that he never had before, right?
Yep.
You build the
That's the
storyline right.
one.
Yeah, you build the storyline off that, and that's Gunther needs a main stage Mania match, since obviously the Brock one is not happening due to valid reasons why it's not happening. I
Right.
feel Cena would be a good replacement opponent for him.
100%. Coach 23 added Xavier Woods is the underrated guy in New Day. I couldn't agree more. And David Maj added Gunther's the beast.
Yeah, he is.
And I couldn't agree more with that either. Speaking of beasts, we had a battle of beasts in this next one. Elimination Chamber qualifying. We have Bobby Lashley versus Bronson Reed. The big man, Bronson Reed. Bobby got him with the spear, goes over and enters the chamber. Bobby Lashley obviously has some history in the Elimination Chamber. I believe he won the worst one of all time, but that's neither here nor there. I'm a huge Bobby Lashley fan. That's no knock on Bobby, but December to Dismember was a bit of a flop. I will say the weapons chamber did not go as well as we all had hoped. So maybe a little redemption for Bobby in this chamber. So, but what did you think of the match? And Bronson Reed has looked so great since his return to the main roster and to the WWE. But it does feel like that old 50-50 booking thing where if you're going to be a beast like Bronson Reed, it's tough to take this many losses. How do you feel it goes for both on the way to WrestleMania?
Quick thing is, I would love Xavier to get a Mania match just to have him wear Apollo Creed gear and as a tribute to Carl Weathers. That would be amazing. Let's do that. Now, Lashley and Reed, two guys I couldn't give two toss about. I really don't. I don't see appeal to these guys anymore. The thing is, I think Lashley was so good with the Hart business and so good on his WWE Championship reign that he lost to Big E. And then after that, he's just floundered. He had an absolute dismal trilogy with Lesnar. He had a terrible Elimination Chamber. He's just there. He's lost MVP, who's now with Omos. He has the Street Profits, but they just feel like lackeys. Like the Street Profits used to be so good. And I thought like Montez Ford, we all wanted Montez Ford to get like a single run after that shot in the chamber he had last year. And then after that, it's just been back to tag division. And now we're going to stick you in a stable because we don't have anything to do with you. So yeah, Lashley, I think, yay, veteran in the business, cool, yada, yada, yada. But honestly, I think he's just too burnt from really bad booking. And it's just ruined his appeals for me. Bronson Reed, oh my days. How can someone who had a match with Okada in New Japan now be doing this? Right? I mean, This is a guy who I wasn't too familiar about at all. All I knew about him before he was released was that he was the North American Championship for NXT, right? Got released, went by Jonah, did some stuff in Impact, did some stuff in New Japan, as I mentioned with the Okada match. And it seemed like a hot commodity. Like a lot of people were like, we re-sign this guy. Oh, someone hire this guy. AEW, Impact, New Japan. Does someone get this guy on your roster? He came back to WWE in a segment with, what was it, Dexter Lumis and The Miz, like over a Money in a Ladder match sort of thing. And since then, he's just been there. He's now literally the guy on 2K with the 76 overall who's there to take the pins in universe mode.
Yep.
Like he's like, isn't he something like big man Bronson Reed or something like that? Or big or strong?
Big Bronson Reed, I think, is like the
Godzilla.
Not Khalil. We're getting flashbacks of Bearcat Keith Lee again.
Yeah.
Where a great guy gets a stupid nickname just so he's more toyetic or more appealing to the little kiddies. Honestly, like, it's a shame. Like, hey, look, at the end of the day, if the man's getting paid and he's happy to provide for his family, then good on him, because that's a nice, cushy, easy job, and I will respect him for that. But no offense, I don't ever see at this point in time Bronson Reed winning a championship in the next 3 years if he's
No,
like
it
this.
doesn't. It doesn't seem feasible, and I totally agree with you, Soul. That's the scariest part. And Sonny and Sandy, as
He's
go
boring,
ahead.
bro. He's boring.
I agree. Over on Instagram, Sonny and Sandy has had a bunch of great comments, but I really do want to read this one, which is, and guys, I know they said why SmackDown guys are on Raw and Raw guys are on SmackDown, but are we on our way to drop the separation between the shows because of the titles might be changing shows? I'm going to answer that really quickly. To be honest, I think since this year's draft, it's been botched as far as the brand separation. I mean, we've looked at crossover talent on every show, and it doesn't feel special anymore. Even if it's explained, it doesn't feel like it matters that you're seeing somebody on a different show. The brand loyalty thing, I don't think has worked for a long time. I'm not saying you need to book the same wrestlers 2 days a week. I think that's unfair. But the idea that people jump shows and the idea that the GMs can be involved needs to be brought back into it. I think Nick Aldis needs to be recruiting Raw talent. I think Adam Pearce needs to be recruiting SmackDown talent. If we're going to make this something that actually matters again, it needs to actually be brought up. It can't just happen passive aggressively, and that's what it feels like. It feels like a passive aggressive delivery of crossover talent, right? It's like, well, we know they're from SmackDown, and it's like, is it a big deal that we're seeing them on Raw? No. LA Knight, is in all the pictures for last night's show. Is it a huge deal that he was on Raw and not SmackDown? Nope. Like, we didn't talk about it. Nobody talked about it. Nothing happened on television from a storytelling perspective. So if we are going to return or restore the thought that the brand split actually matters, it has to play out on television as such. And it just hasn't, at least in my eyes, it hasn't.
Their roster isn't like super big enough where they necessarily like need to have the brand split like that as well, right? Like they have like a pretty good size roster where you can shuffle talents within both shows and it creates fresher matchups and all of that. But like, I mean, they already basically do it like at this time. Like, there's no reason for it to happen. It's just cool to see the draft. That's all it is.
Yeah,
hundred
it's
percent.
it's the funny thing of like, oh, who's going where? Oh, wow, Xylee went to catering. Wow, that's a lovely it's a lovely
Yeah.
department to be shuffled to. I mean, the fact is, like, they've got so many people on the bench that could be doing things, and they're just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, honestly, another really funny comment from Sonny and Sandy over on Instagram. He said, prediction right here on Wrestling Republic for match of the night at Mania, Adam Pearce versus Nick Aldis. LOL, just kidding. And then he said, but really good storytelling. I don't hate it. I really don't.
I would
Adam
like
Pearce was outstanding.
Nick Aldis could wrestle better than a lot of people on
and
that
we know
roster
Nick
right
could
now.
go. If Adam Pearce can get cleared, I'm totally in. Pearce was awesome too.
Pierce could probably still go too. Like,
These are both former NWA champions.
Be fun as could be.
yeah,
I love it.
Both of them dudes are good. And Aldis is like still good. Like he literally was just NWA champion like a couple years ago. Like it's not like that man is like only 35, 36 years old, bro. He's not even old.
100%.
He's younger than LA Knight and AJ Styles.
Yeah, he's younger than both. Let's talk about women's qualifying for the Elimination Chamber though from last night. Liv Morgan, Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark, outstanding talent. Liv wins via Oblivion. Fun match. Liv in the chamber. I think Liv Morgan back and healthy, charismatic beyond belief, really good in the ring, improving constantly. We got to figure out something promo wise to push her over that full edge.
Yes.
All the way over. And I think it's still possible for sure because the charisma is there. The look, everything about Liv Morgan's presentation and performance is awesome. But I do want to feel like Liv Morgan's main event talent. And I did for a short time, like last year, the last couple years.
Yeah.
But I feel like she needs to fully establish herself or reestablish in some ways herself on this run to Mania. Last night was a great example. The match was fun as could be. Oblivion, always a good finishing move. Shad, your thoughts on the women's elimination chamber match and Liv Morgan's qualification?
So, women's match itself, I think this was the best qualifier match out of all the women's qualifier matches thus far. I think obviously y'all spoke about Shayna and Becky last week, where the pacing was a little slower and it kind of seemed a little off. We had one on Friday. We had a couple matches on Friday, right? If I'm not mistaken, which were pretty solid matches. But I think fluidly, like I think both of these two work at a very similar like speed and pace where it was a fun match. I think Zoe Stark is phenomenal in ring, bro. I think she's like one of the best bell for bell women's wrestlers in WWE. Like she's very good at this. I love her moveset. It's such a cool, like powerful moveset mixed with a nice agility and high spots and whatnot. And Liv is really good at selling. Liv is also good with high flying and she's good at fighting underneath. Like they had a good bout. I thought it was a very solid women's match and I enjoyed both women's contributions to it. Liv, obviously, the correct choice to go into this chamber match. She's the more popular wrestler. She's the one that's had the title prior. She's the one that will do all the fun stuff in the elimination chamber, and she'll be bumping for people and getting thrown like a rag doll. Like she's the right choice. And to your point just now, right? Liv Morgan, I don't know what it is, man. Aesthetically, she looks cool. She's very popular. She's got the entrance. Everything checks. In ring, she's solid. The talking, the promo work.
Yep.
I I don't want to say I despise it, but it agitates me so much where they have her talking like I'm gonna like that dragon word stuff. Like let her just talk how she talks. I know how she talks. I seen her interview. She's so quirky, fun. Let her be that. Stop trying to make her and force her being some like serious person where she enunciates like nah
Yeah.
man, it's so whack. I feel like it takes away so much from her because I see like the star potential in her, man. She's got more star potential than a lot of women's wrestlers, but they're like holding her back, or if she's choosing to do it, I don't know. I'm not gonna put a blame on either or, but whatever right we can fix with this, let's do it because we're kind of honing Liv back for what she could be because she could definitely be a future Raw Women's Champion if they allow her to be, and it could work. It's just I'm not gonna like be held on to a storyline when it's just nothing compelling. Like she gonna get schooled by so many people on the mic. It's happened before, so yeah.
I am with you on that. It's interesting to me too because she's from New Jersey. We have a lot of East Coast influence in the women's division on WWE. You have multiple East Coast talents, Sonya Deville, New Jersey accent, and whatnot. It seems like if you let her be her and talk like that, because like you said, the pauses,
Yeah.
over here in the comments, even Coach 23 added it's her promo skills. I don't even think it's skills. I think it's delivery.
No,
I think
she
she's
was
trying to
better.
be
It's
someone
delivery.
she's
Yeah.
not. I think it's someone she's not.
I don't
And
think, and he said she's Alexa. I don't see that. I think Alexa Bliss is a very good
yes.
promo. She is very good at typing.
Yeah.
Talking. Her mic skills are very good.
And then over on Instagram, Sonny and Sandy added, did you guys see the leak of the poster for the women's chamber match? We did, but over here at Wrestling Republic,
I
we're the
didn't.
clean sheet. So we don't address anything dirt sheet related because guess what? Card subject to change. It's very possible that doesn't mean anything. And so we don't mess with that kind of stuff. But I do
Mhm.
appreciate the comment always. Um, Another one that I do want to get into though. Speaking of promos and promo skills, big time backs, not so much. The man, the man, the man, maybe.
Bah.
I dug the promo. We all know how badly Nia Jax broke Becky Lynch's nose back in the day. This promo was delightful. Nia's involvement makes sense, Becky is still the GOAT. Like you said, she's amazing. Soul, I got to ask you about it. How did you feel about the promo?
This is someone any aspiring wrestler needs to study for promo work for Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is amazing. Look, if you had to put, the 4 horsewomen in front of me, Sasha, Bayley, Charlotte, and Becky, I'm picking Becky as my favorite all the time. I think with Becky, she, look at the other horsewomen, right? Sasha kind of had that little rise with NXT. Bayley had it in NXT as well. Charlotte, I don't know if she's ever had that crowd behind her radiance, but Becky had like the crowd behind her for a WrestleMania main event. That's when you've got someone special who can do the whole triad of wrestling, the moves, the talk, and the walk. So she's got that. The promo itself, I loved it. I like the little line where she had to explain to her daughter, it was like, oh, I can't lift you, I can't, hug you, and then why your daddy wants to beat up Maui, and I was like, relevant. I like it. It's very good. Hopefully, Seth does super kick Rock so hard that Moana 2 gets cancelled because it's a terrible movie. That's another rant for another day. I think with Becky Lynch, future plan is it's kind of like Cena and Orton in those kind of calibers, where they're top individuals who have done so much that it's kind of like, well, where do you go next with them? Sure, you could chuck them a world title reign. Sure, you could chuck them a mid-card title to elevate it. Sure, you could put them in a tag team to elevate that. But there's always going to be people chasing the high of what they've done before. I mean, Becky Lynch went out of a WrestleMania main event with a former UFC star and another famous women's wrestler in herself and Charlotte Flair and walking away with both titles. Not many people can do that. So I think with Becky Lynch, you don't go back to big time bets because that was a travesty. Just continue what makes Becky Lynch so good is that her connectivity with the audience.
I couldn't agree more. And I think, like you said, big time Bex versus the man. It's the man every day of the week. And there's no question about that. We've got a bunch of great comments over here. Tiffany Stratton has star potential. Bobby Petito added. He also added, hello, guys. Shout out, Bobby. Good to see you as always, Bobby. You're the man.
Of course, Shad likes that comment.
Okay, we're moving on to the next topic, though. The final topic of the evening, the afternoon, depends on where you are geographically. We got Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura, another Elimination Chamber qualifying match. And man, did I enjoy the wrestling, but I was checked out by then. Late in the show, 3 hours deep, and Sami doesn't win. We had Sami Zayn in the main event of night 1 last year at WrestleMania, and as much as Kevin Owens was his tag team partner, that whole story was about Sami Zayn. And we're headed to this Mania season, and he takes a loss to Shinsuke Nakamura in the main event of a show that's overshadowed by other talent. This is a tough one. I'm wondering if we need conspiracy theory Sami Zayn back, because I think they're conspiring against him. Soul, obviously Drew comes out at the end. I'm going to ask you first and then toss it to you, Shad. But Soul, Drew McIntyre involves himself in this whole narrative. What are we doing here? And where's Sami go?
If anything for Drew for this thing, and you want to include Sami in it, have Drew win the chamber, and then something happens that he gets the title off Seth early, and you could do Sami and Drew at Mania with a priest cash in. On the other hand, with Sami Zayn, it is an absolute shame of what has happened to this man's career. Like, this is a guy who last year, a part of the bloodline, was more over than Roman Reigns, more over than the Usos, more over than Solo Sikoa. Like, I remember, Clark, when you got that Honorary Uso t-shirt, like when that was announced, like you were so hyped to get it, as many people were. This is a t-shirt that was willed in by the fans. Had the most hype moment at the Rumble, turning on Roman, had the Elimination Chamber where everyone was behind him. Main event in night 1 was Kevin Owens against the Usos with the tag titles, which hadn't been done since WrestleMania 1. Had a title reign with them because sadly babyfaces have a bit of a baggage with them when they have title reigns. They're not as appealing. And then just became a guy on the roster again. Now, don't get me wrong. I know someone on this has said before that Sami Zayn has that kind of connection that can always just resonate again and get behind with the audience. That's fine. But if you're just basically a guy who's stopping and starting and stopping and starting, like Sami Zayn should have been like a WWE champion 3 times already at this point. And now he's just there. Like, is he just gonna be that guy who always has the hype moment that then never happens? Is he the next Shelton Benjamin? Is he the next, the one that's like Ryback when he was really popular and everybody liked him, and then just nothing? So I think with Sami Zayn, it's just a shame because he can do so much more. He should do so much more, but he won't do more.
Yeah, it is. It's sad to me that it wasn't capitalized upon. No question. Obviously, this is an interesting match. Shinsuke does qualify for the Chamber, and so we have the Chamber on the way. We have Drew. We have all of this. Shot. I gotta get. What do you see for the men's Chamber? What do we do with Sami Zayn headed into Mania? How is he not going to be on this card?
Oh, he qualified for the Chamber from this match?
Yes.
Are you sure? Because Sammy lost the qualifier last week. I didn't think that's the case.
No, I'm pretty sure that that's why Drew came down at the end. This got Shin in.
No, he's not in.
He's not in officially.
Nah, he's not
unofficially. He's not in.
No,
it's
he's not in the
Knight,
match.
Lashley, Orton, and Drew that's in the Chamber.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the last 2 matches are Logan and the Miz, and then
that's where I'm confused. Why would Drew come down to talk to Shin?
I'll tell you why. Basically, I mean he so there's obviously a storyline that's intertwined between Sammy and Drew, where Drew is kind of, telling him like, hey man, like you're really not him. Like, like you can't, you are kind of a failure in a way, and he's kind of just throwing him on the dirt. And it's kind of a pseudo, like there's so many quasi superstars in that main event scene where all these storylines are kind of blended together in a way. Whether that's good or not, I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to wait and see. But what I got the most is that I think Drew and Sammy is a feud that we're gonna build to, and I would rather build it slowly but surely and let Drew become the champion and build it down the line. I think this is leading towards a Sami Zayn redemption story where he is being, from the top of the world all the way back to the bottom, and we're continuously knocking him down a peg. And then at some point, he's going to get that first win, and it's going to lead him back and help him climb up the ladder. And I think the, story is going to be kind of like how Roman was to Sammy. Drew is going to kind of be like that to Sammy in a different manner. Him being the bigger, stronger, inferior competitor that I got to get to his level and I got to overcome this opponent. And I'm hoping that's what we're going to lead to. I love Seth so much, and we talked about him earlier. I think there's so much talent on that roster that I would rather see be the champion. A Drew McIntyre, a Sami Zayn, even a Damian Priest. Like, there are guys who can hold that title that would make it more interesting for that title scene. And if we can lead it to a Drew beating Seth, and then maybe down the road, Money in the Bank is in Toronto, right? What about Sami Zayn building his way up to Money in the Bank, getting that briefcase, and cashing in on Drew McIntyre and overcoming that and winning some big gold for himself? I feel like that could be a special moment because as fans, that's what we missed. We missed the biggest opportunity for him to become champion, dethroning Roman. That was the biggest David and Goliath story that we had in WWE in a while. The Sami Zayn storyline was pulling heartstrings on us, man. And it was pulling heartstrings because we wanted to see him overpower Roman. We didn't care too much about them tag titles. That was the consolation prize. I want to see Sammy win individual main event titles because I think he is that talented. I don't think there is a babyface that I like more than Sami Zayn, bro. Like, he is literally like, you see that right there, that portrait, that's Sami Zayn. Like, he's one of my favorite wrestlers, and that's not even me being biased. He holds sentimental value to people that nobody can do in that roster, and I think he deserves his moment. So I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping he doesn't get lost in the shuffle even more and more because he's too talented to do that. In regards to Shinsuke, about time he won a match.
I couldn't agree more. Sammy's as good as anyone. David Maj added, I wanted Sammy to do good, but it won't happen. He didn't even qualify. And then he added, Seth's freaking awesome. I think he might be real hurt and hiding that. I do think he is definitely real hurt. He's got the knee injury. That one's not even a dirt sheet report. That one's been actively reported and addressed on television. He's got a partially torn MCL and a torn meniscus. It is something that's totally recoverable and he can work around it. I think Sami Zayn though should be pushed to the moon. I've thought it for a long time.
Not the U.S. title.
No, not just the U.S. title. That's not enough. It's not enough. We didn't even get to talk about LA Knight. He qualified for the Elimination Chamber match. I think that's part of my confusion there. Yeah. But that does bring us to the end of this Tuesday show. Thank you so much, everybody that tuned in. We really appreciate you. If you have no plans for Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Pacific, that's 11 on the East Coast. That's 9 o'clock Central. That's, of course, 5 o'clock in Hawaii and the middle of the night in the UK. But tune in to Off the Air, me, Shad, Drizzy, immediately following tonight's NXT episode. It will be delightful. Tomorrow, check out the daily broadcast, noon Pacific, 3 in the East, 2 Central. That's 8 in the UK. That's 9 Hawaiian. Everyone have an awesome Tuesday, and we'll talk to everybody